Hospital actually in Japan has been a dying business in a sense. I noticed there's a lot of inefficiencies in healthcare. We produce approximately about 4 times healthcare data than we did 10 years ago. We want to gather all the data. Then we want to be able to predict the problem and help the patients or the users to be able to enjoy their life.
Hello and welcome to Startup Passport by Econsulate in collaboration with Takeoff Tokyo. Today I'm joined by Victor Parlindungan, CEO of Camille.
Yes.
Could you tell us about yourself and about Camille?
Yes, I've been in Japan for about 20 years now. I spent most of my career in finance and investment banking, but the last 4 years plus, I've been working in a CRM company. I decided to start my own and quit my job, take the leap of faith, because I noticed there was a lot of inefficiencies in healthcare market. Japan has been great in terms of paperwork. And I would argue that we're number one in terms of paperwork. We can always trace things down. However, for patients who they're not feeling well, it's not really good experience for them, right? And if you also think about the amount of data that we have produced as humanity, especially in Japan, we produce approximately about 4 times healthcare data than we did 10 years ago. We didn't do anything about it though. I'll give you an example. Healthcare, a health check. Every year we do annual health check. Where did the data go? We give it to our company, we put it in the drawer, but that's a trove of information that can help you understand your health and avoid you certain risk of problem later on. That's where Camille comes in. We want to gather all the data, make sense of it. Then we want to be able to predict the problem before it comes in and help the patients or the users to be able to enjoy their life. Leave the healthcare problem, leave the data to us. That's what we do.
Okay, so you're looking at utilizing the existing data
Correct.
that people already collect for their annual checkup.
Correct.
For school or even for work.
Yes.
And you said that there's 4 times more paperwork now compared to 10 years ago.
4 times more data. Yes.
For more data. Okay.
Yes.
So with that, I'm guessing there are some challenges. Apart from it sitting in a drawer at home or maybe in our company's filing cabinet, what are the challenges of Japan's healthcare system?
There are tons of challenges. One is the data belongs to the hospital, not to belong to you. That's the first challenge. And number 2, we have a very rigorous data protection law, which kind of interesting if you think about it, because everybody start talking about data protection. Is it safe? Is it privacy? What about we get hacked? But the problem is that you're sharing data insecurely without knowing it all this time by writing on a paper. When you go to the new hospital you've never been to, they ask you to fill out your name, birth date, address, the kind of same information that the bank actually asks you to verify who you are. That's a bit scary, is it? So what we did is that we want to gather all this data, but just gathering the data itself is not enough. We need to be able to share it. And when you mention the word sharing, everybody starts squirming and like, uh-oh, that is not cool. So we want to be able to use that as an identity rather than just sharing it. The app, what we'll do is using an NFC ID or QR code, tap, press OK, which data they requested. That's it, the data goes there. That's the whole idea.
Okay, so you're in ownership of your own data.
Yes.
And then you give the rights to a certain hospital
Correct.
or clinic who needs
Correct.
it at the time.
Correct.
And that saves time and...
That saves a lot of time.
I see.
But also gives you control, mainly about the data itself. Because owning the data, understanding it, sharing it is 3 different operations. That is very, very different. And we want to put that into one application.
Okay. And so for you, what is how do you roll this out? Does this start from the hospital side and getting them signed up, or does it start on the user side and all of us?
We want to start in the user side because hospital actually has a lot of complications. Clinics a bit easier, but clinics also have tons of its own problem, right? Hospital actually in Japan has been a dying business in a sense. I think 80% of them, I need to check my statistic again, but 80% of them is in the red.
Oh,
Yeah, because they cannot charge as much as they want to charge. They are limited on how much they can charge, right? So that's a very complex thing. And
Yeah.
we decided to pivot a bit rather than reaching out to the hospital. We want to reach out to the surrounding businesses, such as insurance, pharma, and other businesses, right? So the strategy is always to get the customer first because that's what we want to do, the users first. That's what we want to first help.
okay. And then with that, then you can go to these surrounding businesses with
Correct.
this proof.
Yeah.
Okay. And so with that, could you expand kind of the impact that you foresee Camly will have to clinics and hospitals? So we talked about time. We talked about the benefit to users. But apart from that, how does that also help hospitals and clinics?
Yeah.
Does that help them provide a better healthcare service? Could you expand about that?
Yes. So I think the idea is for the end users, right? For example, that when you do X-ray in one particular clinic, you don't really bring that X-ray home, and then you want to check a second opinion, you have to redo it again. That costs money.
Yeah.
The difference between those X-rays is negligible.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of the thing. We want to make sure that we can save money, that we don't do unnecessary testing, redo it again. But we also want to make sure that we can enable this data. You heard about AI here and there.
Yeah.
You can do that. We're using a bit of AI as well, but we also recognize one of the value of having AI is that it's really good in consuming tons of data. So, and summarize this data for people who, when you have this health check data, there's a lot of data points that you don't understand.
True.
But if you have a bunch of them that you have making trends and you can make sure, this particular data point combined with this one will have this one, you can do a lot of things with that. You can show it to the doctor, you can do it yourself, the potentials.
So it's clear that there is a issue with Japan's current healthcare system and the data within it.
Yeah.
And we talked about rollouts, and what do you think is the future of Camly? What do you think will go from there?
Well, the vision that we have is that it's not only for Japan, that if I want to go, say, Hawaii, Vietnam, then I have a health problem, I can simply just tap and the doctor know who I am, the medical history. Like if I go to the eye doctor, they don't need to know if I have a problem with my teeth, for example, right? It's just basically like, oh yeah, you probably have high blood pressure. Historically, that probably caused your whatever. That gives a bit of insight that we probably don't remember to tell the doctor when we talk to the doctor directly.
Yeah.
Right? And the implication is huge because if you have that, maybe there is a way we can actually gather all these doctor's notes specific for them and build them for them immediately, that before you meet the doctor, you can kind of know what's the problem with you. And the doctor will be able to quickly just say, yep, I think that's the problem because it's based on my notes.
Interesting. So they can confirm it prior
Yes.
to the appointment and things like that.
Yeah, and if you can, for example, before you can deal with 10 patients in an hour,
Yeah.
you probably can deal with 20.
So it's bringing efficiencies
Yes.
into the healthcare system
Yes.
again, not just in Japan, but with such a globalized world, we're traveling more, people are living abroad more.
Yes.
So it's the use case is kind of it's
It's
global.
wide.
It is global, isn't it?
It is global, yeah. So that's the idea. And our application currently work in 4 languages, Indonesian, English, Chinese, and Japanese. But we are open to do it with Vietnamese language or whichever that makes sense in that region.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us and your insights. And that's it from us at Startup Passport. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.